Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the What Really Matters podcast. This is episode 5, and it's Chris and Terrence back again, and excited to share with you guys some things that really matter to us. That seriously, like as a human, we deal with things, we deal with emotions, and we all need help.
Chris sounds like a pro. You sound like a pro doing that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, we had a short lag. I had to travel, so there's little bit of a pause here in our recording, but we're back recording. We're committed to keep doing this as much as we can.
Yes.
And welcome and thanks for continuing to watch our podcast and supporting us.
Yes. Very grateful for the support and feedback. I think a lot of that really helps guide the topics that we speak about, what we notice, whether it be in other people or in ourselves to work through. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We have a finite amount of time, in the world. And, we want to leave the world better than we found it. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, so today we wanted to talk about negative emotions, and I thought I'd maybe just open it up to share kind of like an overview, if you will, around the emotions. And, with any emotion, whether we know it or not, we are the speaker of, we work through these emotions, we constitute them, we create them. And that also means that we have the power to change them. And that doesn't mean that we neglect them and just move on. It's a heal it and feel it, type of situation. And so when we're going through those emotions, I think it's really important that we don't isolate, as we kind of talked a little bit about, and we lean on a support group. And really with a support group and going through emotions, we start to learn and identify what are whether it's the environments we're in, maybe it's different situations we find ourselves in that produce these emotions. And it's not that they're bad or wrong, they just are. But ultimately, it's those feelings that can be challenging for us to deal with, because we may project out onto other people and say, well, if I feel this bad, why would someone want to be around me? Mm-hmm. Or I don't want to show that person that I feel bad or that I'm going through something because I think I should, be better than I am in this moment. And that's just not human of us. Mm-hmm. And so I think we all crave that desire to be accepted. And I think part of understanding ourselves is accepting ourselves. And for me, my journey has been a lot of accepting myself as I'm going through these negative, or whatever the emotions we want to call them, and accepting myself without having to rely on someone else's opinion of me to source my validation. And, it's been a challenge.
So I guess the first controversy I'm going to throw out there is, how do you view emotions? Where does emotion come from?
Yeah.
Because you started the discussion by saying that the emotions happen to us, and then we just react to the emotions that happen to us. So I guess I've thought about emotions a lot, and I've written about what I call the anatomy of emotions. So, because as opposed to some people think that emotions is coming from within, I actually view it differently. So we may not be on, we may have different ideas about what emotion is, but I see emotion as an outside energy rather than something that's coming from within. In other words, I am like a body of water. The turbulence of the water did not come from the water itself, but from the wind that caused the turbulence in the water, and the appearance of the waves is the result of the effect of the wind on the water. So in other words, I am the body of water. This energy called emotion stirs the water, and what manifests as the wave is what I am showing that other people see that I show.
Right. That's the cause is the wind, the effect is the wave.
Yes, the effect is the wave. So what other people see that I manifest is the wave, but I am the water. But it's that the emotion is that energy that stirred the water up.
Right.
So in other words,
interesting.
In other words, if I was the body of water and the wind stirred me up, how I manifest is a choice that I make. I can either start yelling and screaming, or I can just stay calm. So the energy, I have no choice what energy is going to come through me. Right? You don't have a choice whether you're going to be lonely, sad, angry, whatever. Those emotions will come any given time of the day without your choosing, because nobody would want to choose to be lonely or to be angry. But the energy, the emotions would come when they come, and then how I manifest those is the only choice I have.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I have a different background from which I make my assessment. In a similar way, I believe that from what I've, everything I've either read or been taught, or we have a structure as a human that is made up of our history of experiences in our lives. We're closed systems, meaning that no one can make you do anything. Everything is all your interpretation. But you have this structure of history that you rely on to help make that assessment. So
I agree.
So these past experiences may, in the past, where our structure was safe because we're always preserving to survive and to reproduce, like in cell reproduction is what I mean there. We're always looking for that. That is our critical path. So if our structure tells us that this emotion is how we coped with that situation, we're going to craft it. It's going to manifest in a way that we find ourselves in those emotions. Now we do experience the roller coaster of emotions, but what I've learned is that it's the relationship we have to our structure and to the emotions. That's why I wrote the question, how do you view, I thought of like, what's your relationship with emotions? Because if it's suck it up, don't show emotion, then you're the way you manifest or express emotions is going to be way different than someone who emotion comes to them, they allow it, surrender to it, work through it, and then they can move on. Those people life seems to just flow. That doesn't mean they don't experience the downs. But anyway, so I think a lot of it has to do with our structure of how we have experienced emotions in the past, because that is where our story comes from. We have consciousness, which we can say, I choose to change that story and allow that emotion, where previously I would say I'm isolating or I'm avoiding. I say, no, that's not me anymore. So that's like where I go with the background of the emotions.
Yeah. So the question you said was,
how do you view emotions?
How do you view emotions? So that's exactly what we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've come to realize that the emotions that I experience are separate from me. That's how I view emotions. Like if I experience anger, I will not equate anger as Terrence. Terrence is not anger. Anger is an outside entity that Terrence is experiencing.
Like a spirit. so to speak.
An energy.
In energy, yeah, okay.
It's an energy. So it's like the water that stirs, I mean, the wind that stirs
The water.
the body of water. So, and the reason why I feel that that is important as far as my coping mechanism is concerned is because if I identify anger as Terrence and Terrence is anger, then if I feel angry, I would feel bad about myself, or I'll feel myself as unworthy. Like, why did you get angry?
Yeah, it's simple. It's a really
Right.
simple situation, Terrence.
But in this case, I view emotion as an outside entity, and such that when the anger subsides, I'm still Terrence. I'm still the same Terrence that you know. So the anger is just passing through me, and it's not me.
Yeah.
So I will not fault myself. I will not think less of myself if I get angry, if I get sad, or whatever negative emotions that I experience. Because it's not me. It's an energy that passes through me.
Yeah.
What is me is what manifests as a result of the emotion.
Interesting.
That's how I view emotions. So if the energy of emotion, if the energy of anger comes through Terrence, and Terrence starts kicking and screaming, the kicking and screaming person was Terrence. So my experience in life will teach me how to handle the anger, emotion, that energy that came through me.
Interesting.
So whenever I feel that boiling feeling that I'm about to explode, if I have a realization that that's an outside energy, number one, I will tell myself it's gonna pass. Number two, I know it's not me, so I'm not gonna self-hate, right? Instead, I'm gonna be my best friend, and I'm gonna tell myself, just calm down. You're not a bad person just because you felt the outside energy. It's not you. It's an outside energy that you felt.
Right.
Now, what's me is I have to be careful of how I manifest what I felt.
It's really good.
So as opposed to thinking that emotion is something that's coming from within, if you view emotion like that, then you will tend to blame yourself. If you lose your cool, or you felt angry, then you feel guilt. You feel like, why did I feel so angry? Or am I a bad person? Am I so weak that I feel lonely? Right? Because you equate the emotion as yourself.
Right.
So I've stopped thinking like that. So emotion for me is an outside energy.
Yeah, I like the disassociation, and you're allowing it to move through you without attaching. But I like that you also said that how you respond to that is who you are.
Yes.
And experience shows how to respond to different, emotions, different situations. Like if you're, I don't know, cleaning the house, you're not just going to burst into anger and kick and scream.
Right.
If you feel angry, that's like, it's in a way, it's like, that's not, it doesn't seem like an appropriate response to the situation.
Because we have a choice with the response.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice about feeling the emotion. But manifesting what we feel is a choice.
Man, that's so good.
I'm glad you enjoyed my
Manifesting what we feel is a choice.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then something that comes up for me is, okay, so if I feel angry, but I don't want to show that emotion, like manifest, so I may be stoic, but I may still feel those emotions, but that's just how it's manifesting.
Okay. Well, that's a different aspect.
Yeah,
of
can you
that
help with
now.
the distinction
So
there?
that's a different aspect of that. So what you're referring to when you say express the emotion, or being stoic, meaning not wanting to show emotion, that's a different aspect of that anatomy of emotion. That's about accepting the emotion that you feel. Okay, let me explain. So, in other words, if the energy of anger, of the energy of loneliness hits me, when you're being stoic, or you're suppressing it, or you're not wanting to feel it, that's about not accepting the emotion. I am of the thinking that I would accept any emotion that comes my way because it's not a choice. It's gonna come. It's an energy. I should just accept it and not resist it. If you're trying to suppress the emotion, you're, in a sense, resisting the emotion. It's like bacteria and fungi and viruses all around us. Emotions are the same way. You don't say, okay, I'm going to cover my nose so I don't get the bacteria, but the bacteria is going to cling on your skin.
Right. Yeah.
Are you going to keep fighting the bacteria? So then you live in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing with emotions. I see emotions as like the fungi, the bacteria, the viruses that surrounds us. It's going to come and hit you whether you like it or not. It's going to attach to your skin. You're going to inhale it no matter what. There's no human being here.
Yeah.
A part of being human is feeling emotions. That's a gift. It's part of the tapestry of life.
Yeah.
You know?
It adds a wonderful flavor to it.
So can you imagine those people with brain injury who are not able to feel any emotions and just looks at you straight and has no emotion? I mean, can you imagine how miserable that can be? So there are some people who are not able to cry. There's some brain damage that they're not able to cry. Imagine how painful that kind of life is.
Yeah.
So
missing out on
emotionless life is like not living. So emotions should be welcomed and accepted and not resisted.
So this is what I'm listening to is this is the relationship to emotion that you're not that like it's not we need to be stoic, it's we need to have a relationship with
it.
Yeah.
You need to accept it like you accept the bacteria, the fungi, and the viruses. You don't reject them.
Yeah.
You can't even see them, right? You can't see the bacteria, you can't see the viruses, you can't see the fungi. Same thing. I cannot see anger. I cannot see loneliness, sadness, grieving. I can't see all those. But you can feel it, and you feel the effect on you.
Right.
So the viruses, you start sneezing and coughing, you know.
Yeah.
The bacteria, you start having fever. Those are the manifestation of the infection. The same thing with anger and loneliness, these negative emotions. You don't see them. What you see is the manifestation from the person who experienced it.
Yep.
So it's one thing to accept it. So for example, if I'm angry and I accept and have awareness that I feel anger, I'm not suppressing it. I accept that I'm feeling it. I accept that it's human for me to experience anger and loneliness. I'm not resisting it. The choice is how I want to manifest it. Okay, so if I start punching the wall and stuff, you think you're going to feel better. How can you feel better? You're going to crack your bones. How can you feel better?
Right.
You're actually hurting yourself. How can you feel better? So when people say I'm letting off steam, I don't think that's the right way. Tincture of time will cure the anger. The emotion is just the way to let off the steam is tincture of time. Time is the only thing, because energy has an expiration date. There's no such thing as an energy that goes into you and keeps persisting and persisting and just keeps building up and building up, it's gonna die. It's an energy.
Interesting.
What kind of energy do you feel that goes through you and stays with you? Nothing. That's why if you translate this to another level,
Yeah.
I always like to say everything in life works out in the end. Everything works out. If you look at your life, all the crises you've had, all the problems you've had, everything in the end will work out.
Always. Yep.
And another thing I always like to say is the sun always rises tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a song, Annie, right? The sun will come out.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
You know, what I think about too
You
is
want me to
like,
sing? You want me to keep going?
yeah. I mean,
No, but that song makes a lot of sense. I know it's
Yeah.
a very corny song from Annie, right? The sun will come out tomorrow, but that has a lot of wisdom in it.
Yeah.
Because the sun will always rise the next day. Everything will all work out in the end. Emotions will eventually die off.
Yeah.
Whatever emotion that is.
It's interesting. I think about like, you know, whenever I go to sleep, for example, like I don't wake up and I'm immediately in the same emotion. In fact, I wake up and I'm like I'm kind of checking in with myself. Like,
Yeah.
how do I feel? You know, what's going on? Like I could have gone to bed, maybe upset or something, but then I wake up and I'm like, I don't know. It's like almost like my humanness reminds me that these emotions are temporary.
Yeah. What makes the emotion linger is your thought, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you feel anger or sadness and you interpret how you feel and you interpret the emotion, you're adding life to it and it persists.
Yeah, you're giving it more energy.
For example, if I'm feeling sad and then your thoughts, which is also, I'll discuss later, but if you think your thoughts are part of you, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Your thought is also separate from you. Okay, so if you're experiencing anger, what makes it persist is not that the energy doesn't die off. The reason why the emotion of anger persists is because your thoughts are giving it life of its own, because you're now thinking, I am feeling lonely because I'm such a loser.
Right.
Oh, because nobody loves me, because I am so
Not worthy.
deficient that nobody
Yeah.
would even want to hang out with me. I'm not worthy. So these are your thoughts that are giving life to that feeling, the emotion of loneliness. But if you just stop and don't let your thoughts take over,
Yeah.
then the emotion, the energy of the loneliness emotion will just die off. You know, our thoughts are separate from us, the same way that the emotions should be separate from us. It's separate because we are able to observe our emotions. We are able to observe our thoughts. The fact that you're able to observe something, that means it's separate from you, right?
Interesting.
So that's why meditation helps a lot, because it allows you to have self-awareness of who you are in relation to everything else. Who you are in relation to your emotions, who you are in relation to your thoughts.
Right.
Because a lot of times you're sitting there doing nothing and thoughts would just come into your head.
Yeah.
Is that you? No, it's not. It's an outside entity. It just came to you. Now you, as Chris, then decide, am I going to embrace this thought? Am I going to hold on to this thought? Or I'm just going to let it pass? See, I hope I'm proving to you that thoughts are separate from you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the thoughts that you have that propagates the emotion and make it not die down. But if you just stay calm and be present and focus on your breathing and be aware that you're breathing in, be aware that you can feel, be aware of your 5 senses, and just relax. And the emotion will just meet its expiration date, and it's just gonna go away.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense when I think about, just all the thoughts that come into my mind every day. If I was to just be a third party observer,
and thousands of those come each.
Yeah. If I was just to be an observer of that, to just kind of like unconditionally allow them to be what they are.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
Just let them be what they are. They're just thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not you. The reason why we suffer is because we identify the thoughts as us, and we identify the emotions as ourselves.
Yeah.
That's when we suffer, because it's bad enough to feel the emotion or the energy of loneliness and anger. When you add the thought that I am the anger, I am the loneliness emotion, then now you're putting yourself down.
Right.
It's like tennis. I learned this in tennis. When I'm playing tennis, I don't get angry at myself. It's bad enough that I'm competing against somebody across the court. If I'm angry at myself, then it's 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The same thing with emotions. It's bad enough to feel the pangs of anger and loneliness.
Right.
If I start identifying with it, then I'm siding with those negative emotions against me.
Beating yourself up.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So even that concept about beating ourselves up, we're not beating ourselves up. It's the emotion, it's that energy that's beating us. So don't join forces with the emotion
Yeah.
to beat yourself, right?
Right.
Let it be. Because you can't fight the bacteria or the virus or the fungi.
Yeah.
But if you're going to join forces with them, you'll be dead.
That's a really good analogy. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think about it too, like these things are going to show up anyway.
Yeah.
So we have a few options here. We can like succumb to that and allow the emotion, team up with it. We could accept it for what it is, knowing that this is just how it goes. And then we can also accept it and also have support from other people and friends, and know that, hey, you're a human in this world trying to figure it out just like everybody else, and that's okay. I think sometimes when we get caught in that, there's two traps I think we can get caught in. One of them is identifying with the emotion or thought, and then the second is the projection out onto how others may perceive me or how I think others may already perceive me before the emotion.
So those are the thoughts that
Right.
add to your suffering.
Yes. So then it's working through that to say, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions. I can, that's just how I respond to that is who I am. And I also have a group of people that I can communicate with to share, I'm a human too. You're a human too.
So the circle of people around us, our friends, our families, the people who support us, those are the people who help you put things in perspective. It's like right now, okay? So for the sake of the audience, let me just say that all we discussed tonight is what we're going to talk about. None of these we prearrange. So Chris's ideas are his and my ideas are mine, and we're not here to agree. We're here to just have a discussion. So everything is very natural here. So the friends that surround us are there to help put things in perspective. It's like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I was counseling you, or I'm the one supporting you, I'm just trying to give you a different perspective so that you can see things a little bit differently and maybe face your challenges easier. Like this whole idea about the emotion being separate from us or our thoughts being separate from us, we didn't talk about this. You don't know that that's how I think.
Right.
But I'm just sharing that with you. And then, I mean, you're a smart guy. You think about it and see if it makes sense or not.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, embrace my philosophy. If it doesn't make sense, then just dump it. Right? So, but that's what support means.
Yeah.
Somebody, like, nobody has a monopoly of great ideas, and so meeting friends and meeting other people, you open your mind to different ideas and different philosophies, and then you might find something that says, this resonates with me.
Oh yeah.
This makes sense. I'm going to embrace that. Right? So that's what support means. And then support of your friends that surround you also mean, like, when you're so lonely and depressed and you just don't feel like doing anything, there's somebody to cheer you up and say, hey, come on, Chris, you can do this. This is not okay. Or somebody to distract you so that it will give you time to catch your breath. Right? Sometimes anger, the emotion of anger or loneliness just keeps pounding on you, beating you up, and you're breathless now from fighting all these emotions. And then I come and say, Chris, don't fight it. Just accept it.
I can breathe now. Yeah.
Just accept it. You're angry. Okay, let's just accept it, and tincture of time. Time will cure it all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that perspective, and in a way, it's kind of like it's an understanding almost. And I think sometimes that what we need in those moments is just like love, I guess, is how I think about it. Is like someone who is just going to allow you to express yourself, not judge you, just allow you to be you because you're a human, and then to support you and say, if you're open, I can offer feedback, but if not, I can just listen. What would you like me to do here? And sometimes it's just to listen. Sometimes it's, oh, actually, I kind of need some feedback. I need some help.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's like the loving spirit of the connection we have as humans. And we all, I think, long for that. Some of us may feel more deserving or less deserving. But that takes me back to, what's your relationship with emotions, or how do you view emotions, to your point earlier. So that was one of the key things for me is, what is your relationship with emotions?
Yeah. So let me give you another proposal.
Please.
So earlier we were discussing, before we started recording, I was telling you that I'm a very simplistic person. I keep everything very simple. And I told you that the solution to everything is love, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now let me prove my point to you.
Please.
Okay. So when you experience negative emotions, one of the best way to cope is the experience of love, right? So I said to you earlier, the Bible said that God is love. So God equals love. When you experience love, you experience God.
Yep.
When you experience God, you experience love, right? So if you're experiencing negative emotions, it's a period of experiencing darkness, right? Do you agree in that premise? So anger, loneliness, whatever,
sadness, grief,
all these other negative emotions, it's
frustration,
a feeling of darkness,
anguish.
Well, darkness in essence is not an energy. You're not going to say, I'm going to get the energy of darkness and throw it upon you, right? I'm not going to say that. The only energy there is light. Light is an energy, because I can say, I will shine the light. I will turn on the flashlight and shine the light. So it's an energy from the battery, and I'm shining with all the physics, whatever.
Yeah, wavelength.
Thing
Yeah.
is so I'm shining the light. I'm producing energy that manifests as light.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no such thing as I'm creating energy to produce darkness. There's no such thing, right?
So then it
Because
would be the lack of light.
darkness is just the absence of light,
Right.
right? So if you're experiencing darkness, the way to dispel that is to shine a light on someone. So if you're feeling depressed or angry, you're experiencing the energy or the lack of light. And that's when I, as your friend, will come in and say, Chris, I have a flashlight here. I'm going to shine the light on you.
Yeah.
And so you'll be out of darkness because I shine the light on you. That's why my thing here says, be the one, be the light. That's the whole concept of my motto in my ministry is when people are in darkness, it's not an energy that you fight. You cannot fight the setting of darkness that somebody is in. The only way I can help get you out of that dark situation is by shining a light on you.
Wow.
Because light is the only energy that you possess. Darkness is not an energy.
Yeah.
It's just the absence of the energy of light.
Man, that it's so good. It reminds me of I do a Bible study on Wednesdays, and there are a couple people that are in the group, and in a way they are challenged with darkness, and in my own ways I have been challenged with darkness, and often still am.
We all
Yeah,
do.
and I speculate that my work, as I've been not resisting it, working through them, I have new skills and capabilities to deal with the dark. Okay, but I noticed there was this one gentleman who he didn't show up for a little while, and then he comes back, and he's afraid of being judged. But every time, every interaction that I've had, every interaction that the gentleman that I go to church with, that they've had towards him has been nothing but love. Like, we do what God calls us to do, and God calls us to love, fruits of the Spirit, right? And so we have always greeted him with love, and it's so cool because in the moment, like, sometimes it can, like, in a way, I'm kind of like, I feel like my time was just wasted. I spent this time to prep and take care of this guy, but he didn't show. No worries. I reframe that right to love. God calls us to love. It's a test. Okay. So then this happens multiple times, and then we're just always loving to him. And then he finally at some point says, I just feel so much love from you guys. I don't know how to explain that. I feel so undeserving. You guys are so kind and gracious. Like, I don't really know why you guys are so loving to me. And I said, man, that's what God calls us to do, and that's how that looks.
Yeah.
And like, thank you for sharing, because in a way I'm like, oh, that feels good, but like, it's a sign to notice that I'm improving on how I show and give love unconditionally to other people, when I may incur costs at times, for me to say, that's okay. Still love them anyway.
Yeah. So what you just said, so the illustration you just made is like planting a seed.
Yeah.
Okay. So you plant a seed. So the love there is you're watering the soil that buried the seed.
Yeah.
When you're pouring water or love onto the soil, you're doing it because you're trying to help the seed germinate and grow, right?
Yeah.
But every time you pour water onto that soil, you're not saying, hey, seed, how come you're not sprouting? You're not germinating.
Hello, been watering you for a while.
Right? You can't, right?
Yeah.
So that's how love is given. You're just there. You just give it.
Yeah.
And then you just trust that you're pouring water, you're watering the seed, and at some point it's gonna germinate. Right? You can't say, "Oh, I treated you so well. I showed you love, and look at you. You're not changing. You're not doing it. I don't see any change." The seed doesn't change.
Yeah, it's like the
days
bamboo.
and weeks.
Yeah.
The seed remains a seed. It takes time. The change is inside, invisible to your eyes.
Right. Starts in there.
You have to trust the process. You cannot water the soil or nourish the seed and think that nothing's happening. Something ought to be happening. So when we show love to people, it may seem like nothing's happening because they're not telling you what's happening. Sometimes they don't even know what's happening.
True.
But they're experiencing the love. Right?
Right.
And so if you take it to another level, like I said, God is love. So you're helping them experience God. And in the end, when we experience God's presence, it's a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
And it can do wonders. It can make the hardest soul or hardest heart soften up.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
turn a
if you believe
non-believer
in
to
God,
a believer.
right? If you believe in God, then, I believe that, nothing is impossible for God. Even somebody who we think is irredeemable, who are we to say that? We may not have the
We're
power.
not there to judge.
We may not have the power to redeem that person, but God can.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, some people who are addicted to meth, we always say, oh, they're never going to be able to get out of it. But, I've seen people who are meth addicts and completely just come out of it cold turkey, I mean, it's the power of God.
Yeah.
And so God is love. It's the power of love. Like I told you, love can solve pretty much everything.
Yeah, I believe it. I experienced it in my own way. Like I call them taps on the shoulder, where, like I feel like God has been in my presence, so to speak. And I felt that over an overwhelming sense of love, something that is very unexplainable. But it's calming, it's peaceful, it's, I don't know, it's light is the best way how to say it.
Yeah, like we were discussing earlier. So I say, for example, if your business is not doing well, and if your business is not doing well and you just dwell on it and you sit there all day beating yourself up thinking, how could I have made that mistake? Why can't I get out of this situation? And all you do is dwell on you and your mistakes and what you have not done or had done. And what if you start injecting love into that situation and just keep doing your best, work hard, do your best, and then look up and focus on the people around you and start doing something good for others. Keep doing your best in whatever business you're doing. Work on your business as if it's a ministry serving God. Do good to other people. And before you know it, all the good that you've done, all the love that you've shared, just by trying to do good and do the right thing, it eventually will just come back to you. And before you know it, your business is thriving because you're now in the business of helping others. And as you help others, you eventually help yourself, right? For example, so you're a realtor, you're a real estate guy. Sorry.
Investor.
You're an investor. You're a real estate guy. You're here to make money. You're buying houses, then you're selling them. You're making money. So what if you then focus on helping people get housed, right? Or helping people fix their housing issues. And then in so doing, you're spreading love to others, and people experience the love you gave them, and they remember you. They they spread the word about you by word of mouth. They know, oh, Chris is a great guy. He helped me and didn't even charge me for anything. And then before you know it, word of mouth spreads, and then everybody gets to know you, and then your business starts thriving without even trying.
Right.
No, I mean, all you did was trying to love more.
Right. Being of service
You're
to
not.
others.
So you're indirectly. You're really. All your actions are not focused on your selfish interests.
Yeah.
So if your
driven.
business is not doing well, instead of your focus being, oh, I need to make more money, your focus is just, okay, I need to help more people. And as you help people with whatever resources you have, then in the end, you end up being successful because word of mouth goes around, and now Chris is the greatest dude, didn't charge me for anything, just kept helping me, and then now everybody then gets you, and then they hire you now and pay you for services that you give them, which started out just being nice.
Yeah.
It's like same thing with doctors. Sometimes people curbside you, just ask you questions, get free consultation, or help them with their family members, just give them guidance. They're not paying you, but they're taking up your time. But then people then develop a trust in you, and they develop a rapport with you. They connect with you. Then they tell their friends about you, and then before you know it, everybody knows you, and everybody's trying to get to see you, and you have more business than you can handle. So
yeah, that it's like leading with love. And what I listen in that is I can control my actions, but I can't control the outcome. And so if I'm so outcome focused, we call it commission breath, which is my intention is to help someone, but I'm so focused on my own situation that I forget to help other people. And people can feel that. They can tell if you're being genuine or not, whether they're consciously aware of it or not. But when we lead with service and say something along the lines of, let's say I talked to 50 people today, and of the 50 people, 47 of them I just helped. I just said, hey, I might not even be a good fit, but here's some resources that I do have. That is leading with love, and leading with what can I control is being a good steward of like helping others and loving others as God calls us to do. And then the outcome, 17 of those people may come back and say, man, we thought about it, we worked through it, we want to work with you.
Yeah.
Much different than, like, hey, I talked to this many people today, and I tried to force my offer on them. And they weren't ready to hear it, or they weren't even interested because I didn't have the love behind it,
Yeah, so your intention should be to love more and to help more.
Yeah.
Right? So an analogy I thought of is people like to take selfies, right?
Yeah.
So for example, you go to Paris and then you're taking a selfie with the Eiffel Tower behind you, and you're focusing on your image on the camera. You want the best angle of your face and everything. What you're not realizing is you're missing the beauty of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Because you're just focusing on yourself. You're just
Right.
looking at yourself. Oh, this is the best angle. This is the best shot, And oh, I have less wrinkles here. Or I have more hair if this angle. All these. I look slimmer here.
Get this my good side.
Yeah. And then you miss the whole Eiffel Tower.
Right. Yeah. Well, after your picture, you're like, okay, now what? I'm
Yes.
over it.
So the same
Rather
thing when
than
you're
enjoying it.
struggling, say, in business,
Yeah.
and you're so focused about your woes. Oh, I need to make $1,000 by the end of the week. I need to make this. You're just focusing on yourself. Then you're missing the big picture here. You're going to be successful because of the people that you serve. It's the people around you that gives you the business. If you're just focusing on yourself, I need to make $1,000 by the end of the week. I need to make this. I need to do this. I need to do that. Why did I not do this? Why did I not do that? So you're just staring at yourself all day long, that you don't have time to deal with your actual customers, which is other people.
Right.
So if you spend your time being kind to people, helping them, loving them, then you might earn some new business in the process.
Right.
So anyway, my point there is I'm trying to prove to you that everything begins and ends with love. Whatever, I know I'm going to have to argue with a lot of people about that. But I mean, you can give me any specific situations and think about it. I've thought about this myself. I pondered a lot about this. A lot of the problems in this life or challenges in this life can be solved by love. Well, naturally, I don't mean that you just sit there and think love, love, love.
Yeah.
But of course, you work hard. It's not about working hard. It's about the intent of why you're working hard. If you're working hard all for yourself, to make more money, to have a larger profit, to work less and make more, yes, you're working hard, but you're working hard losing focus of the intent. Your intent has to be right.
Yeah.
So
That's
your
really
intent should be to love more and to help others more, to be the light for others. And then the consequence of that is success will come easy, right?
Yeah.
We have to look at ourselves less for us to be able to find the joy, you know? If you just keep looking at yourself, you're never going to be able to look at the beauty around you.
Yeah. You're confined. And I think it's interesting too, what I noticed, that when I am completely of service to people and I can remove like the concentration on myself, because sometimes I get hyper focused on that. Like I can't see anything outside of myself. When I begin to just love other people and serve them, and like there was a time, I don't know, it was maybe a week or two ago, I'm on the phone with this lady, and I hear she says something like she's going through something, and I say, hey, do you mind if I say a prayer for you? She's like, oh yeah, I'd love it if you did. I was like, great, I mean right now. And she's like, oh yeah. And then I say a prayer, and then afterwards she's crying, and she's like, this was so, like, I'm so amazed by this. Thank you so much for doing that. And she's not even interested in selling her house right now, you know? But what I noticed in that is it's the service, to your point, right? Leading with love. Or even one could say a return to love.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. It's good.
So what's our next?
Well, so we're what now?
We're trying to be more structured here.
Yeah. Well, what comes up for me is so we started with the challenge we're facing is dealing with negative emotions.
Yeah.
And it seems like the resolution to that is just leading with love and being loving to other people. But now, like, what happens when we now are loving to other people? What does that welcome in for us in a way that being negative actually cut off? Does that make sense?
No, what do you mean?
I'll be a little philosophical with my language.
Yeah.
So a negative emotion can close off space of possibility or cause negative consequences. But when we're in love and we're serving others out of love, that opens up the door for positive consequences or a new space for us to think and act from. Rather than being so focused here, we can see the bigger picture around and see how we help and take care of people, which could lead to new opportunities, so on and so forth. But what is that space that is open now because we're in love?
Okay. So this whole discussion started with the negative emotions, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're talking about opening that space with love, right? And so that's that's what I was referring to when I say that to neutralize the negative emotion is to shine the light, because negative emotions is just the absence of light.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if I shine the light at you, or if I give you some nuggets of wisdom, or if I explain to you about love, or try to demonstrate love, or help you experience love by what I do to you, if you're not ready to accept, if you're closed off, then you will never experience it. So I can try to help you all I want, but if you're not ready to accept it, I cannot force it.
Yeah.
So by opening yourself up and welcoming some positive energy, there's nothing I can do. In other words, the sunlight, there may be sunlight outside, but if your blinds are drawn,
Closed. Yeah.
the light will never come in. You have to also play a part, and you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the decision to pull the blinds, so that the light can come in. The light's not going to force itself in, right?
Yeah. Well, it's what's funny is I'm writing that you are the champion of your story, meaning you are the one that will be the cause or source of the action to feel the love. Meaning, like if you keep the blinds closed, light isn't just gonna poke a hole in your blinds and be like, "What's up?"
In other words, happiness is a choice.
Tell me more. Happiness is a choice.
So happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy, or you can choose not to be, because there are certain things that are required for you to be happy. If you choose to dwell on the anger or dwell on the loneliness and block everything off and keep perseverating on those thoughts, then you'll never get out of it. Okay, so we as friends of these people, we're there to support them and help them open the window. We can't open the window for them. We as the support group, we're there to help convince them, hey, it's worth it. Take a step forward. Open that window.
Yeah.
See one ray of sunlight come in, and you'll see how good you feel. That's our job to do as the people surrounding someone who is experiencing darkness. It's to convince them, right? So it's like remember we talked about the chapter I wrote about selling kindness. So when you sell an idea, you first have to explain to them what that idea is. Okay, so for example, somebody in darkness, you're selling the idea of letting the light in.
Yeah.
So first I have to explain to them what is the light.
Right.
So they know what I'm trying to sell. I'm selling them light. Right? Then I need to show them that it doesn't cost very much to let the light in.
It's the same cost.
Right. I mean,
all
you have to do is just open the blinds.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost much. And then you need to prove to them that it works. So how do I prove to them that it works? I will be kind to them, and I will be loving to them, and let them experience it. And when they experience it, they will say, oh yeah, that felt good. I want more of it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's how you sell light to someone, right?
Yeah.
Tell them what the light is. Tell them that it doesn't cost very much. It's not difficult. That all you have to do is just welcome it and prove to them that it works.
Yeah.
If I sell you a piece of equipment, if I sell you that camera there, I will tell you, hey, this is what this camera can do.
Right.
Then I'll tell you, okay, this doesn't cost very much. It's a bargain. No, it doesn't cost very much. And then I need to prove to you that it can take beautiful pictures, that it works. And then if you're convinced that, so if you know what it is, if you know what it can do, if you know it can take beautiful pictures, and you know it doesn't cost very much, you're going to buy it.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I study Apple, and one of the things that they do very, very well is their marketing on selling their products. So I watch this unveiling of a new phone, but this is more of like a kickoff to an event they're doing. And it starts out, basically it's someone receiving a text message, they look down at their phone, they smile, right? And then it kind of takes you through these 5 different people. The conclusion of it is, and all these people are now gathered around their support groups and all this, and you're kind of like, you see happy birthday, and you're like, okay, happy birthday, what's the story here, what's going on? You're kind of in a mystery. But you're seeing people are using their phone or their Apple Watch or whatever, and you're like, okay, interesting, like, I get it, they're marketing the phone, right? But what they did that tied it in that was so clever and so interesting and very emotionally, like pulling your strings, make you wanting to buy everything Apple, at least that's how I felt, is they go through all 5 of these people would have lost their lives had they not had an Apple product that saved their life. So these text messages about birthday is like, Apple helps you celebrate life with your family.
Yeah.
And it's that association that we make to happiness in a way that Apple makes the association of their product to, enjoying life and actually having life. That to me is like, being in the happiness, selling the happiness it opens up so much new space for you to be with other people in a much more rich way. Then, like, think about it. If you're in a I don't know, we're in a room of many people, you're in the corner looking away the whole time, like how fruitful is that versus someone who's engaged in conversation and is very curious about learning, what is this person up to, what's and then being willing to share. And they're both in the same environment. Their response to the environment is, and it's not to say any one of them is wrong or bad or different. What I'm suggesting is that the one that you choose happiness produces more fulfillment and satisfaction.
Yeah, the marketing trick there is, I'm not a marketing genius, but I try to study marketing on my own. But the marketing trick there, I think, is they're selling the intent, the higher purpose. So in other words, if I sell a phone and I sell it to you and say, hey, this phone can call your friends, who cares? There's 10,000 other phones that you can call your friends. Yeah. If I sell this phone and say, hey, this Apple, this iPhone can take pictures. Well, cameras can take pictures. Other phones can take pictures. So it's no different. But the reason why that advertising, the marketing scheme works is because you're selling the phone intending for people to buy it for a higher purpose. So
the phone is an aid to living a good life.
So that's why people connect, because it's about selling it for a higher purpose. The same thing, right? If I sell you happiness and I say, hey, Chris, if you do this, you'll be happy. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just, okay, it's your own selfish interest. Okay, I buy this, I'll be happy. Then the happiness is going to be gone. But if you say, well, if you do this, you're going to be able to change the lives of these children. You're changing the future of America, By loving these children, you're preparing, you're setting the future of America for greatness. Because these kids are going to grow up with a tank full of love and they have so much love to share now to other people, then you're getting your audience there.
Right.
It's the same thing with this podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
If we just say, hey, we're doing a podcast because we want likes and subscribe and all that mundane, superficial thing, nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
We're going to be irrelevant very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, whatever we do has to be for a higher purpose, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
So, like, I haven't slept since 12 noon yesterday. So that's how many hours? 12 to 12 to 12.
36.
24, 36 hours already. I haven't slept in 36 hours. My wife's saying, you should be coming home now and sleep. I said, nah, I'm committed to do this. But
Yeah.
where do I get the energy? Obviously, I look tired. I have negative emotions, right? Because I'm
You're
tired.
doing great, Terrence.
I'm doing great. I'm
Yeah.
doing great faking it.
You're kicking butt, man.
Coffee, you know, Starbucks.
Yep, yep.
So I'm extremely tired, but what drives me, what gives me the energy is, you know, the higher purpose. Why are we doing this? So if we have a higher purpose, everything is possible. And that higher purpose, there's no other purpose that's higher than love,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I mean, the only reason why I have the energy to do this, because I'm trying to imagine a few people out there who's going to listen to us and say, I'm feeling angry and depressed today, and gee, now I understand. I can handle my emotion better.
Mm-hmm.
And you save them from depression, save them from having to take another Prozac.
Right.
Hey, it's worthwhile.
And maybe not have to be on any of that, and you know, enjoy.
So that's the higher purpose that
Yeah.
drives me to do this. You know.
Yeah. You know, it's, I was thinking about this because I was sharing with you earlier about like some of the strategies that I'm in around managing my moods and thoughts. So like I do my best with my own willpower to manage them consciously, but sometimes I slip. But I make commitments to be around people every day, some way or another. And that helps me remove the focus on myself and to then help and serve other people. But I also, I made a commitment to myself, the house that I was in before this one, I made a commitment to myself that there's never a day you don't open your blinds. You open every single blind, and I don't care if it takes you 20 minutes. Take the time to do that, and then every single night, take the time to close them, because I'm reinforcing letting the light in, surrender, let the light in, enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's like a self-care type of routine, but it's the story that I have about letting the light in that is what makes that so meaningful to me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a joy for me to let the light in. So I found that to be very helpful. And it's something that is like, it's simple. It takes something off of me. And yeah.
So I'm going to challenge a little bit of that
Yeah, please.
idea. I mean, we always do that. That's why we're doing this. So, you know, all these, it's admirable for people who, I mean, I'm sure a lot of our audience here, people like to read those self-help books, watch podcasts like this, try to improve themselves, you know, but if your motivation about improving is just that, for you to be better, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You will meet a challenge and you will say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
Right? If you read all these books about discipline, about perseverance, about all these things, and if you're doing it all because you just want to be a better person, because it's a self-help book or self-help video,
Right.
you're not going to be able to sustain it. The only reason for something to stick, you need to have, again, a higher purpose, right? So for example, if you say, I want to be a better person because I want to be a better husband to my wife, because I want my wife to live happily with me, then that will likely stick more.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I say I want to be a better person because I want to be a better father to my children, I want to be a better example to my children, then you're better able to persevere in getting to your goal of being better. So even when you meet challenges, you're going to push through because you're doing it for somebody else. Right? And business. So if you say, I want to do well in this business, if you're just doing it because you want to be richer so you can afford the next car, once you meet some difficulties, you're going to say, forget it.
Right. Yeah, what's the point?
But if you're doing it because you're saving up for the future of your children so you can give them a nice future, or you want to be able to have enough money so you can help some less fortunate people, then you'll be more driven to keep doing it. So, in other words, self-improvement and self-help for the sake of self is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's not going to succeed. Self-help, self-improvement should be for a purpose outside of yourself. Like, really why do I want to be a better person? I want to be a better person so I don't annoy my wife.
Low cost.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to be more pleasant around other people. So this example, okay? So I wrote this in my book, Divine Intervention, right? So that priest, Father Ralph Jones, he said to me, he's since passed away, but when he was ministering to me, he said, God is allowing you to suffer through this illness of our daughter because he's trying to prepare you to serve him. And Father Ralph said, God is like a surgeon. He wants to use a clean instrument.
Oh, interesting.
So for me to be useful, I have to be a clean instrument. So that's why I strive to be better, to be a better person. In other words, I'm striving to be a cleaner instrument so that God can use me to serve.
Wow.
Does that make sense? I'm trying to say if I'm just gonna try to do self-help, self-improvement for the sake of the self, it's not sustainable, right?
Yeah.
Because I've found the purpose in my life, and my purpose is, God gave me talent to write, to speak, and whatever creativity I have, I'm going to use it to serve God. But I'll be a resounding gong if I just keep talking here, but I don't try to better myself deep inside, because the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. I can't say all these things I'm saying if I don't have enough in my heart.
Yeah. Agreed.
So the higher purpose is to serve God, but the short-term goal is to improve myself, to make myself cleaner so I can be used as the instrument for God to use.
Man, that's so good. Yeah, I mean, you think about people that the way I think about it is like we all have different levels of pain and things that we go to where we say we're ready and willing to change. Most of the time, crisis is when we're most motivated to change. But in a way, it's like in a moment of crisis, we kind of are like stripped down to, back to the fundamental ground of being a human, where you lose the entitlement, you lose the the ego. And how I listen to that is, you don't have anything else to do but love. You have nothing else to give but love. And it's like God needs you to be there to then say, okay, I will give the love because that's all I have to give, you know?
Yeah, another way of looking at it is happy family life, successful business, good health. These are all layers that separate us from God.
Yeah.
Sometimes God has to strip them off one by one, take away your health, take away your money, take away your happy family, and that's when you can start connecting with God.
Yeah.
Right? Because these so-called successes in life,
yeah, it's material,
are layers that separate us from God. And sometimes it takes stripping them away from you for you to be able to experience God directly, right? Because when your business is successful, you don't stop and think about God. You're self-sufficient.
Right. We got this.
When you're healthy, or your family's all healthy, you sometimes don't even pause and think to thank God that you're healthy.
Yeah. Right.
Right? Because you think that's the way it's supposed to be until God takes away your health. Then you realize, oh, gee.
The only thing I want to do now is to get my health back.
Right. And then once you get your health back, you realize it's only God who can give you your health back.
Yeah.
Especially in America where, you know, you think, okay, I have the money to pick the right doctor. We have all the technology here in this country to cure every disease until it can't. Then you realize, well, only God can really cure.
Yeah.
Like I always tell my patients, I can write a prescription. You can have an infection. I can only write you a prescription and give you the antibiotics. But whether the antibiotics work or not, it's up to God. It's not up to me. I have the knowledge to write you penicillin with certain infections. But whether the penicillin works or not, it's not up to me. It's up to God. I'm not the one who's curing you. God is the one who's curing you or healing you, right? So sometimes we have our humble pie there when you think as a doctor, if we think we're so good that I can cure anything, and then you can't, then you realize I'm not the one curing people. It's God who's curing people.
Wow.
Okay, I used to be
interesting.
So when I was your age, I mean, we've all been through that. I was cocky at one point in my life. I thought, so I do colonoscopies. I thought, I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. I can get to the top of every colon you present me. Until that one day where no matter what I do, I couldn't get to the top of the colon. Then I realized every colon that I'm able to conquer was because God was with me.
Wow.
Obviously, I trained, but I was also trained.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I'm the best trained guy. I'm so good at what I do until I met that one challenge that I couldn't get to the top of the colon.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to start from the end up to the top, and I couldn't get to the top. No matter how much I tried, no matter what technique I've learned, I've applied, I couldn't get there. That's when I realized every time I conquer a colon or get to the top of a colon is because God allowed me to. It's not my own greatness.
Wow. Yeah, you're just the vessel.
Yeah.
And
but a lot of us doctors sometimes forget, and we think that we're the ones curing people. Yes, you can study all the books you want. You know I mean, you can click on AI and say, okay, what cures this?
Yeah.
Okay, it'll spit it out. Okay, yeah, theoretically, that's what cures it. But whether it works or not, it's no guarantee.
Yeah.
So God is the ultimate healer, right?
That's so good.
The same thing. So people can't have children. You do in vitro fertilization. You think, oh, technology has it. We'll just put the sperm and the egg together. You'll have a baby.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like it when I hear people say, oh, we're ready to have a baby. Oh, we're ready to make a baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
No.
just going to go make one.
No,
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
Right.
You can put the sperm and the egg together, whether that produces life, that's up to God. God is the giver of life. It's not the sperm and the egg.
Yeah. Man, that's why they say children are gifts from God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can plan all you want. Some people are not blessed with children. Some people are blessed with children, right? But it's not that you want to have, I'm ready to have a child. I hear people say that all the time. It just,
Yeah.
sometimes it bothers me because I know that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I'll go to the best doctor here. They know all I'll go to this university. They have all the most advanced treatment. It's not that. You can be in a small hospital and be healed because it's God who decides
Yes.
who gets healed.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I think about that a lot with church too. Like you walking by faith, not by sight, can heal in ways that you never thought were possible.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman who gave a sermon at the church. I don't know, it was like 4 months ago, maybe. The topic of the sermon was God either, moves a mountain for you or he places a mountain. And this guy started off by saying, I've seen, I don't know, he said like over 350 miracles performed of like God healing in a situation or circumstance where it's like only God can do that. But he said, well, what happens every other day? Every day that there's not a miracle performed in the last 30 years that he has been personally a part of. So he equated that to those are times where you have a mountain that God has called you to climb, which in a way is kind of like God maybe stripping you down so you can be a clean instrument for him to use. And sometimes we don't know why we're going through that. We don't know what being a clean instrument may look like. It may be someone else looks on you and says, wow, he went through that and he was able to go through that. Like that gives me hope and comfort, or it gives me that courage to take this step or to believe when everything in my life told me not to. So sometimes we're the vessel for ourselves, but sometimes it could be someone else who's a vessel.
Yeah.
Or we may be that for someone else.
Yeah. So you mentioned about miracles. You're saying, so what about the other days,
Yeah.
The thing is, we have constant supply of miracles. It's always there. We just don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, you're able to sit there because you have these tiny microscopic blood cells called red blood cells that carry oxygen to your brain.
Yeah.
Thousands of them traveling through your blood vessels, allowing you to have oxygen to your brain to allow you to speak and think.
Wow. Miracle right
Do
there.
you not think that's a miracle for
Yeah.
a microscopic molecule, or whatever you call it,
Yeah.
to carry enough oxygen to your brain to allow you to speak words of wisdom?
Wow.
Okay.
I think too, like your eyes, like it's all an interpretation.
I mean, the body is a complex computer.
Yeah.
That is, if you the more you understand the human body, the more you will be in awe of God. All these connections of all these cells coming together to function, just for you to be able to write on that piece of paper,
Yeah.
to coordinate, it takes a lot of computer work of different parts of your brain and your nerves and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you will appreciate that is if you get a stroke and you can't write and you can't speak. Then you realize, wow, I had a miracle all my life and I never appreciated it.
Wow. That's powerful.
You have lungs that expand and can accept, fresh blood that carries oxygen. We don't appreciate that we're able to breathe.
Yeah.
You breathe 12 to 24 times a minute. Do you even stop and thank God for one breath that you took?
Man.
That's why
So
mindfulness and
Yeah.
mindful breathing is a good exercise in gratitude.
Mm.
People with emphysema can take a breath in but cannot blow it out.
Yeah.
Air is trapped in their lungs. And so it's hard because their lungs are not deflated to take more oxygen.
Yeah. Interesting.
So all these are miracles.
Yeah.
You know how I realized about that blood cells? When my daughter got sick and her bone marrow shut down, she had 0 platelets. So she can't stop herself from bleeding because she has no platelets. She was relying on other people's blood.
Wow.
And then she also did not have white blood cells. So she was wearing a mask and she cannot leave the house because fungus will kill you if you don't have, bacteria and everything can kill you, but fungus will really kill you. But her white blood cell count was near 0. If she has 1 white blood cell, we're celebrating.
Wow. That's insane. Like in a way,
So
like
the problem is the platelets, you can transfuse somebody else's platelets.
right.
But the white blood cells, you cannot transfuse white blood cells.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, we were scared to death because we have bacteria, fungus, virus everywhere surrounding us.
Yeah.
Millions of them. And so if you don't have enough white blood cells to fight them, you won't live. That's how scared we were.
Yeah.
Because she has no defense against all these organisms. So think for a second. We're able to sit here and breathe air, breathe all the bacteria, and our body just fights them off, and we're able to live and survive because we have white blood cells that defend us. We
Warriors.
have platelets that allow us not to bleed out. Otherwise, your nose is going to start bleeding. You're going to bleed from all the orifice in your body. Right?
Yep.
The red blood cells carry the oxygen to your brain, to your heart, everywhere. Right? Those are the miracles. Every moment, every beat of your heart is a miracle. Every breath you take is a miracle. But we all take it for granted. Like I said, your heart beats 60 to 100 times a minute. We don't spend 1 second thanking God that our heart is pumping.
Yeah.
We breathe 12 to 24 times a minute, and we don't thank God for one breath that we take. We all experience miracle constantly. That alone, life is a miracle.
Wow. Man. It's incredible to think that like fundamentally that's taking place, and then you add the complexity of the thinking, whether it's sports, whether it's business related, whether it's just relationships with people, all these things. There's so much complexity, but it's these simplicity. I say simplicity, it sounds maybe more simplistic or maybe more fundamental.
Yeah.
These things are going on that we just take for granted.
Yeah.
We just, I don't know, expect it to be there.
Yeah.
And we don't even know really, like, I think most people don't really know that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
they're just like, I'm alive. And
Okay, so let me tie back the whole
Yeah.
discussion, right? We're talking about negative emotions, right?
yeah.
We're talking about how to deal with negative emotions, anger, sadness. So for the first 30-40 minutes, we were all focused in on dealing with anger and loneliness, sadness, grieving, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it as if it's such a big deal. What if you are like my daughter who was sick before and had bone marrow failure and had no blood cells? And one breath you take, you could inhale a fungus and kill you because you don't have any white blood cells to fight it. Would you even care about anger and loneliness and everything else? You just care about surviving
that next breath.
So,
Yeah.
right? If you have lung failure from emphysema or pulmonary fibrosis, and you struggle to take that one breath, do you think you will even care about anger and loneliness and sadness? You just care about taking your next breath.
Yep. Wow.
So put things in perspective. So the next time you feel anger and loneliness and all these emotions, just take a breath and say, Lord, thank you. At least I can breathe.
Yeah.
At least I have blood cells going to my brain. I can still think. At least I can still move my arms.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the next time you get angry and you feel like punching the wall and breaking your bones, think for a second. Some people would want to trade 1 minute of your life,
Man.
so they can just breathe easy for like 1 minute.
Yeah.
And here you are destroying your body by punching the wall and breaking your bones.
Taking it for granted.
Some people are paralyzed, can't even move their arms.
Mm.
You know? So
Yeah.
everything is perspective.
That's good. Well, I think it's a good place to conclude the episode today.
Yeah, who cares about emotions, right?
Wow. That was powerful. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right.
You want to wrap this up? You're the pro.
Yep. So that will conclude the episode, and we will see you guys next time.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I mean, tell your friends about us. If it benefited you, maybe somebody else will benefit.